Yo, what's good, y'all? This is the real 8-Town, aka RGB Fox, and here I am going to compile a hand trap tier list. This, in my opinion, is going to be what I believe are going to be good, bad, and outright disgusting. That's what we have the letter D for, right? So, if you guys enjoy this type of content, feel free to let me know. Give it a like, subscribe, and comment down on any other hand traps you believe could be good for this upcoming format. Alright, so the first hand trap on our list is going to be Ghost Bell, and while I love this card, there could be arguments to just keep it on the side. You know, it has its best matchups against Labyrinth, right? But in the other chance, you know, it can hit Flamberge, it can hit Princess, it can hit so many things in this current format that I do believe it does deserve a spot in the A tier. Finally getting a bit more love since the Thunder Dragon days, but you know, it's always been a hit or miss with this card. Following that, we have Ash Blossom in A tier as well. This is a deck that you definitely want to keep in the main deck. Against fire matchups, it does suck a little bit though, as they can Hita it. However, fret not. At the end of the day, you're going to play against other matchups, not just fire. So I believe that this deck is still going to be necessary in your deck. Next up, Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. Honestly, this card hasn't been good in years. It was a niche tech choice long ago, and it's just fallen out of favor. So this deserves a D tier, unless you maybe want to play it in Flunderies, but it just doesn't seem worth it in my honest opinion. Following that, in the B tier, we're actually going to go for DD Crow. A lot of people would think that this card is actually a lot better because you can hit stuff from the grave, but at the end of the day, there's only a few things that are really going to matter, and sometimes the side deck list space is just not going to be enough for you to want to tech this in. However, if you can fit a lot of non-engine in the main deck, this could be an option to be able to do so. Next up, a card that I thought wasn't going to be that great going in, Droll, and I'm also going to place it in the A tier. The reason why it's not getting an S tier rating for me is that there is a lot of decks that know how to play through and around Droll, and at that point, you know, you don't always see the benefit of this card as much as you want to. However, you're still going to need it to be able to combat certain matchups, especially against rogue tier lists, right? Whether it be Manadium, whether it be, well, I guess that's it, right? Silent Force. Those matchups really hurt, but even in the main ones, such as Fire King, Snake Eye, Rescue Ace, they can still be a little devastating. However, I would say it's a little bit worse against Snake Eyes than in every other fire deck, right? Following that, we have Gamma, and let's be real, Gamma is awesome, but I'm going to place it in C tier. The reason is, it's just not worth playing this card when it's at 1. You're putting in 2 bricks in the deck that could potentially hurt you where, you know, you don't really want it the most. And right now, cards like Imperm are really popular, so having a body on the field doesn't always feel great. However, a lot of people are also deciding to pair Gamma up with Delta, and Delta is kind of nice because it actually hits spells. And if you ever wanted to make a Gamma as well turn 1, for whatever reason, if you're able to do so with the combination of these cards, then you can rip potentially 2 cards out of your opponent's hand and having a body on board to be able to continue playing. So hey, it can always be a benefit. So I'll just put these in B tier. If you're playing them together, I would say you have a better chance of not bricking on them and seeing them when they matter most, but you know, it's such a shame that we have this card at 1. I hope that it comes back to 3 someday soon. Miradora is a card that I, saw people want to tech in, because you can special summon it when your opponent summons a card from the extra deck, and then on summon, I believe it can negate a monster on the field that was summoned from the extra deck. I don't think this card is going to be very good. It's not going to be very relevant either. Sure, like it's an Imperm-like effect, but I just think that the other ones do a much better job, and at the same time, this puts a body on board, so it makes it a bit worse, right? You know, we're already playing cards like Valor already playing into Talents. This card, by putting a body on board, plays into Thrust, and allows them to be able to search for any normal spell or trap and actually activated that turn. Maybe not the trap, but the spell at the very least 100%. Next up, we have Imperm. I think Imperm is going to be great. It's going to be really solid. And alongside of that, we're going to put Effect Veiler, right? They're basically the same card, except one can be used on your turn, one cannot, right? So Imperm is definitely the better of the two in my honest opinion, and I've always felt that way since the card's release. But right now, there's just so many targets that you can hit, whether it be Hydrant, whether it be Ash, whether it be Populous, whether it be Black Witch, right? All of these monsters, Turbulence, all of these monsters make it to where anything with a Imperm like effect just feels really good to hit in the format. So these are all belonging in the A tier, and these are probably the main 5 that I would recommend anyone to play in the main deck if you're going to play them at all. Following that, we have Lancia, and honestly I might just give it the D tier or the C tier rating. The only reason why I don't just put it in D for dog shit is because a lot of players might want to use it to combat Soul Release if you're playing Fire Kings. They might play it to hit the Bestials if you're worried about your cards being removed for whatever reason. And Orcus players can technically play it, or rather against Orcus players, right? Because you can Lancia and then they can't banish their Harp Horror or any other Orcus monster in grave to be able to play that turn, right? That was very popular back in the day because you also had Thunder Dragons to deal with, and Lancia was just very good against both of those matchups. But nowadays, I just don't think this card is worth it, so I'll just keep it in C tier for right now. Okay, next up, the Bestials. In general, I don't think it's going to be very popular this format. Fire is too popular, so no Bestials this time, but maybe the following format, once they end up hitting Fire, if they ever do, will make the Bestials rise again. Following that, we have Skullmeister. Like, I'm not gonna hate on Skullmeister too much. I just think the options above are much better. The only thing that this has over Bell is the fact that it can negate any effect that activates in grave, and Bell just negates the effects where, you know, they move stuff from grave either to the banish, to your hand, or to special summon it. But you know, it's not that great, right? Also, unlike Bell, it can't be activated in a damage step. Since Bell negates activations, it can. This card cannot. Next up is Ghost Mourner, and I think Ghost Mourner deserves a spot in the B tier rating. I don't think this card is very bad at all. In fact, I think it's going to be kind of decent moving forward. My only gripe against Ghost Mourner is that it doesn't interact like Veiler and Imperm, where you can just do it whenever, right? However, I think that's still fine. You do get the benefit of this also being a time card, right? If the card leaves the field, the monster rather, then they take damage equal to that monster's attack. And that can be pretty important on deciding whether or not you're really going to end the match and win, right? Having more life points is going to be very beneficial, and for that reason, Ghost Mourner is here. Plus, it does still have a Imperm like effect. I just think it's better when you are going second and they are the turn player, because whenever you are the turn player, Ghost Mourner is always chain link 1, unfortunately, and that matters a lot sometimes, such as when they summon Lovely on your turn to destroy a monster on the field, right? Or if Lovely is already established and you draw this card for turn, it doesn't really feel very good. Now, I had my impression that Nib was not going to be that decent because a lot of decks are really trying hard to play around it. However, it goes in. It goes in very hard. Through all the testing that I've done, through all the games that I've watched my friends play, this card was kind of MVP when it like really mattered. And it's always when you have other hand traps to pair it alongside with it. But like, you gotta admit, this card is very good, and for that reason, you should consider this playing in the main deck at all times. Now, Ghost Ogre, let's just put this in the C tier. It really doesn't have any meta relevance at the current moment, so we'll just leave it at that. Spooky Dogwood, I mean, in general, it's D for dog, right? Because it's like not very good, but it is a time card, so do with that information what you will. Next up, Phantasme. I do believe Phantasme is one of the cards that you'll definitely want to side in this upcoming format in order to be able to draw into outs against the Fire matchup. They're always linking, no matter what. It puts a body on board to be able to threaten things like SP Little Knight against Rescue Ace and so much more. Here is my issue with the card. Number one, puts a body on board, so you can't use cards like Imperm, so if you draw this in combination, it might not feel good. Or if you summon Phantasmate and then draw into an Imperm, I mean, you're pretty much forced to put that Imperm back and hope that it doesn't become relevant in your matchup. And then number two, because it puts a body on board, not only do you have to worry about talents already because you activated a monster effect, but thrust also becomes a lot better because, again, just like Miradora, just like the side frames, etc., they can add a normal spell directly into their hand and they can use it right off the bat. So, you know, Phantasme, while I do like this card, is not actually that great all the time. Now, D-Shifter is the probably best hand trap of the format, let's be real. It's probably the best hand trap like almost any single time that you can utilize it. Kashira format is definitely the anomaly because so long as our Rice Heart was on the field, your stuff was getting banished no matter what, and D-Shifter was just like the icing on the cake. So obviously, you know, things like Ash Blossom and stuff were still very good. However, in this format as well, D-Shifter is just crazy. Last in the list is a recommendation from a friend, Sarvis. You know, I'm gonna put it in D tier, not because I actually think this card is bad, but you kind of don't really care to play it. Like, yeah, you want to be able to go through your plays and prevent the targeting effect from like pulling through, whether it be an Imperm on your monster, a Veiler, or, you know, like an Econ, right? Stuff like that. But I just don't think it's that crazy to where you had to play this card. However, if you play Silent Force, then this card goes like here, because the on-field effect when you actually ritual summon it, I mean, it's pretty good. You get to stop the special summons, right? So, yeah, Silent Force right here. Everything else, D tier, you don't really need it. And that is my tier list video for this upcoming format, Post Phantom Nightmare. If you agree with it, thank you. If you don't agree with it, let me know. Shout out what kind of things that you would actually place in here as well. High key, looking through it, Delta might be even better than what I put it in, but like, again, you have to have no monsters on board to be able to activate either of these effects, right? So that's my perception as to why I wouldn't put it any higher than this. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. This has been The Real A-Town, and if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.